Abuse Tigray Defense Forces are opening new fronts in Tigray war. This war is spreading now. I'll have a look at active fronts, what's happening on these fronts now. Firstly, Mekelle, then we'll discuss Sikota. Lastly, we'll discuss northern area of Tigray where Eritreans have heavy presence. Firstly, was Mekelle. What is happening in Mekelle? Tigray Defense Forces are trying to tighten their siege of Mekelle. Mekelle is not under full siege, but there is presence of TDF in Agula, Wakro. So Eritrean forces cannot move towards Mekelle from Medigrat. Then to the west of Mekelle, there is presence of TDF fighters. We know that Ethiopian National Defense Forces launched airstrikes on Tigoga town, which is to the west of Mekelle city. There is presence of TDF as well in this area. So a siege is being laid from the west of Mekelle as well. Then to the north of Mekelle, road is open from Alamata to Mekelle, but there is presence of Tigray Defense Forces in the vicinity of this road. So there is partial siege laid by Tigray Defense Forces. Now TDF are approaching Mekelle very cautiously because the main concern for them is collateral damage. They cannot launch artillery strikes. They cannot launch rocket attacks at Mekelle because civilians will be killed. So which strategy will TDF adopt to capture Mekelle? Firstly, TDF will tighten their siege. They will try to restrict ENDF's supplies. We have seen that supplies, aerial supplies, ground supplies to ENDF troops inside Mekelle have been restricted by Tigray Defense Forces. So that is one way of putting pressure upon ENDF troops inside Mekelle. Secondly, small scale attacks will be carried out by Tigray Defense Forces on ENDF troops in the vicinity of Mekelle. And Tigray Defense Forces will definitely try to infiltrate Mekelle in small groups, especially as civilians. They would like to have large number of TDF fighters inside Mekelle city. And you know that a transport ban has been implemented by Ethiopian National Defense Forces in and around Mekelle. They know that TDF fighters will try to infiltrate Mekelle, and they might try to infiltrate as civilians. And once there is large number of TDF fighters inside Mekelle, they can then launch attacks on ENDF troops inside Mekelle. So that is why ENDF troops have carried out a transport ban in and around Mekelle. But siege is tightening and supplies are being restricted. ENDF are gradually becoming under pressure in Mekelle. Secondly, is Sikota. A new front was opened yesterday by TDF. First question is, why did TDF attack Sikota? TDF did not attack Sikota to take control of Sikota, to attack Amhara state. The main purpose of this attack was to restrict ENDF supplies. Since Mekelle airport has been closed for the last 2 days, ENDF military supplies are arriving at Lalibela airport. From Lalibela to Sikota, then Sikota to Tigray. So Tigray Defense Forces attacked supplies of Ethiopian National Defense Forces. New reinforcements which arrived Lalibela for their movement towards Sikota and then onwards into Tigray. These reinforcements have been targeted by TDF. And the main purpose of yesterday's attack by TDF on Sikota was to choke ENDF's supplies into Tigray. Heavy fighting took place in Sikota. Some sources say that Ethiopian National Defense Forces used drones as well, but it's unconfirmed. Last night, some ENDF supporters said that Getachew had been arrested, but the news has not been confirmed so far. In fact, some TDF-backed sources say that Getachew is alive. He was not in Sikota. and he has talked to some international news sources as well. But ENDF supporters are saying that two brigadier generals of Tigray Defense Forces have been killed in the fighting. Again, no confirmation from Tigray Defense Forces. But yesterday's fighting in Sikota was the heaviest fighting in Amhara state between TDF and Amhara forces since the start of this war on November 4. We have seen fighting in Sikota a few weeks ago, but those were mostly hit and run attacks by TDF inside Sikota. Yesterday's fighting was very heavy fighting, viewers, and both the sides are making conflicting claims about, in terms of casualties, in terms of equipment seized and destroyed. But attack on Sikota from TDF was meant to restrict ENDF supplies. It was not meant to attack Amhara state. So this second front has opened as well, viewers. Thirdly, viewers, RRTN forces stationed along B30 highway in Shire, Aksom, Adwa. We haven't seen any large-scale attacks from RRTN forces on Tigray Defense Forces. And some sources say that before the start of this renewed offensive by TDF, RRTN forces had started partially withdrawing from Tigray. And then ENDF troops were also being relocated for deployment across Ethiopia to hold elections. Tigray Defense Forces made the most of this opportunity and they carried out a new offensive. After that, RRTN forces reportedly came back. We know that they came back in Adigrat. At one time, Adigrat, there was presence of TDF in Adigrat. Then from Zalambasa, RRTN forces moved with artillery and armor and they entered Adigrat. So now some sources say that the main reason behind the success of this TDF new offensive is that TDF made the right decision at the right time. RRTN was partially withdrawing, ENDF being relocated out of Tigray, so they started their offensive TDF and they made considerable gains. So this is the overall picture, viewers. TDF are on the advance, they are advancing towards strategic locations, and the main purpose of TDF operations is to cut off all supplies of ENDF into Tigray. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching.